Hello. Pew, 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 pew. Caribbean Massive, stand up. You know, you have to be a little extra. We're so excited for you, Sarah.
Thank you. Oh my goodness.
Yay. So just a quick reminder, folks, because I think I saw some questions in the chat. Remember to submit your question using the Ask a Question button. So that way it doesn't get pushed up when the chat goes up. And thank you, Letitia. She noticed the red hair. You know the way. Okay. But now we are here to celebrate Sarah and the wonderful Where the Rhythm Takes You. So we have a few questions that we are going to go through right now, and then we'll open it up for questions at the end.
Yes, but before, Sarah, I believe, is going to open up with a reading from Where the Rhythm Takes You.
Yes, just a couple pages. Not too long.
Go
but it is, so I'm going to set it up. It is the first time that Raina, the main character, is meeting her love interest Aiden, but this is when they're very young, and this is Raina sort of just arrived home, and she's recently been given a gift of some toffees, and her mom realizes that one of their neighbor's grandsons is visiting, and she tells Raina to take one of her gifts, one of the boxes of toffees, and give it to Aiden. And she's not very happy about that, and so this is her going to do that. So we'll start. I walked down the street to the house. The music seemed to be coming from the backyard, so I plunged through the brush, skated down the sloping land, and stumbled into the hidden clearing behind the house. The grandson was there, sewing through a plank of wood. He had it balanced on top of a makeshift work table, which he'd fashioned out of an old door and 2 overturned garbage bins. 3 cement blocks were propped next to the back steps of the house. The boy had jet black hair, shaved so short beads of sweat glistened on his scalp, his brow furrowed with concentration. His feet were bare and muddy. He was tall even back then, his limbs long and knobby. Yet despite the awkward angles that defined his body, he moved with a surprising level of skill. I noticed he acted older than he looked. Later, I'd learned he had to, taking care of himself while his mom worked long hours as a nurse. It was only recently his mom and his grandfather reconnected, the old man agreeing to take Aiden for the holidays so Aiden wouldn't be home alone all day. The boy looked up, saw me, and startled. "Hi," I said loudly. I didn't know if he heard me over the music. "My name's Raina. I'm supposed to come over here to meet you and bring you a gift. You're Mr. Chandra's grandson, right?" He didn't answer, retreating to the parked truck under the house. All the while, he kept shooting me looks like he couldn't believe I was there. That made both of us. "That was a stupid question," I continued, raising my voice. "Of course you're his grandson. Why else would you be here in his yard? If you weren't his grandson, this would be creepy." The radio cut off a second before the end of my sentence. We stared at each other in sudden silence. He shut the truck door and walked over to me, his brows raised with surprise. I gripped the box, half tempted to run off with it, stash it, then sneak it into my room when Mommy wasn't looking. But who was I kidding? She'd know. She knew everything. "Did you hear anything I just said?" I asked. "Just the last part where you called me creepy." "That's not..." I fumbled for words, embarrassed. "You didn't hear the whole thing. I was saying you were not creepy." Still seems like a weird way to say hello to a stranger. "No, I swear I didn't mean anything." Something had gone very wrong with this conversation. I broke off when he started laughing. He was messing with me. I'd never met anyone with the ability to piss me off faster. Not before then, and not since.
Hold on, wait. There we go. Yay! I love it. I saw Letitia put in the comments, "Oh, Aiden. Yes. Oh, Aiden. From the start, playing games with her heart."
You practice that?
Right? Just rolled off the tongue.
Okay, so first, thank you so much for reading that lovely passage. It's one of my favorites. So you gave us some insight before you started reading about the story, but can you tell us about where the rhythm takes you came from? Where did the idea start?
So it is a persuasion retelling, young adults, and it's set in Tobago. The idea for it sort of came from a conversation with my agent. Um, so what happened is I had written a book before this, and she thought that the romance kind of reminded her of Persuasion a little bit. So she was like, "What do you think about writing a retelling?" And we were like thinking about maybe just rewriting the book a little bit so that the romance fit the retelling. But like after a while of thinking about it, I was like, if we're going retelling, we're going full retelling. So page one rewrite. So yeah, it's a whole new book. Yeah, and that's how it sort of came to be. Yeah.
So how did you make the decisions as you were writing about this is how closely I will stick to, the original Jane Austen story, and this is where I will deviate? Like, how did you decide to make those shifts?
I would say in the earlier drafts, it definitely stuck very closely to the original story. But as you're revising and you're fleshing things out, it started to move away. It started to become its own thing, and it kind of moved a little bit back to it, coming down to the end. But for me, it's always been more important to have where the rhythm takes you feel like a complete book. Like you don't have to read Persuasion to read this book and feel like you've had a fulfilling reading experience. Um, but if you do read Persuasion, then you can still sort of enjoy recognizing those iconic beats and how I've twisted them a little bit. And yeah, that's what I enjoy as a retelling, a reader of retellings. Yeah, so I thought that's what I would do. Yeah.
Okay, so we meant to start with this, but how are you? Like, how does it feel to publish a book, such a huge undertaking in the middle of a pandemic, but also just your first book in general?
Yes, the pandemic. Okay. Yeah, no, the big goal was to publish a book, and I feel so overwhelmed, so happy, and so accomplished having done that. But yeah, I will say there are certain things I guess you kind of want to experience with your first book or with publishing a book, like going to live events with other bookish people and book signings, and even just seeing your book in a bookstore. That's been a big dream of mine, but like I'm not gonna get to do that for a while, unfortunately. So yeah, there are definitely things that I'm disappointed I'm not gonna experience, at least not for a while. But the big goal, the big one, I'm trying to focus on that one and like feel the joy of that one. Yeah.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
yes, I definitely understand that desire to see it in person, right? It kind of makes it feel like, okay, this is full circle. But I see your copy in the background. So feeling the physical book counts just as much.
Yeah. And this is only your first book. It's not gonna be your last one. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yes. So in your author letter, you mentioned that Where the Rhythm Takes You is the book that you've always wanted to read, but for a long time, you didn't think that you could write it. So, why is that? And what changed? What allowed you to feel like, what, I can write this and I can write it now?
Yeah. The thing that I found, like the thing about Where the Rhythm Takes You is it's set in Tobago, and there aren't a lot of books set in Trinidad and Tobago period. There are a couple, but even if they are, they're mostly set in Trinidad. They're not set in Tobago. And almost none are like young adults or romance or like have like lighter genre fiction, which is like my favorite genres to read. And there is something to be said for reading, consuming media where you like recognize the people or you recognize the country. Yeah, so I was a little intimidated by it because there aren't a lot of books set here, and I also like want to do Tobago justice. I want to do it right. And that kind of pressure on top of like the normal, insecurities that come with a writer, the imposter syndrome. So that like, yeah, for a while I was really intimidated by it, but I found that what I had to do was literally just sit down and write it. And that was the best way to deal with it, because while I was writing it, like I found myself drawing on my own experience, drawing little details from the setting, from sayings that we have here, like the dialogue and so on, things that were familiar to me, and recognizing that in the book, that familiarity, that gave me the confidence to keep going. Yeah, so that's basically, you just write the book. That would solve so many problems that writers have if they just
I know, just write the book. Every time somebody tries to comfort someone on Twitter, they're like, how can I write a book? Write it. It's like,
yeah. And I think what you say is so thoughtful and true. Like, I mean, for us, when we were writing Dear Haiti, Love Elaine, like there's kind of an intimidation there of knowing that there aren't a ton of books about this country that is so dear to your heart that you want to speak about. Like, you have your story to tell, but you don't want to, like, there's just more than one story out there,
Exactly.
like, so
yeah.
I think that helps, like, to know that, like, we're telling a story about something very important, but we're not, like, no one can come to us and say that, like, this is the epic one story about X land, which is great. And we need more of them, obviously.
Yes,
yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
So we were going to ask about like how you pushed through that fear of writing, but you said that you just did it. So like, how does it feel to know now that like you were able to do something that you were scared to do, that you actually did, and now there are going to be people in Tobago, in Trinidad, elsewhere around the world who are going to be able to read your words about this place so very near and dear to your heart?
Ooh, that's actually, now that you're saying it like that, it's a little scary. But yeah, no, like I love the idea of like hopefully some writers who are in Tobago or Trinidad or like in the Caribbean, like if they want to publish in the US, they see this and they're like, okay, it's possible. And they write their book and they tell their story, because we need more. We need all of them. We need so many, because there's so many, like the Caribbean is so rich and diverse, so there's so many stories here to be told. But like yeah, so like I'm hoping that people decide that they would like to put their stories as well out there. Also, I will say that I have been getting like a couple like messages from people who are from the Caribbean, or have parents from the Caribbean. So some younger readers as well, which has been really nice, who have connected with the character, or they've recognized like the setting or like the food or like something about it from their childhood, or and that has been like the best thing.
Yes, that never gets old.
yeah, that makes it all worthwhile, and that's like made me like, okay, I'm doing something, I'm supposed to be doing that. Yeah. Yeah,
I love that. I think because some like writing is a very solitary act, right? Like I'm lucky that I have Maritza here. She's my sister too, so I can fight her, and then we can also write together. But like usually when you're writing, you have to go inside of your head. So once it's like out in the world and people are starting to read it, you're like, okay, did the things that I had in my head translate onto the page, and are people catching everything that I'm throwing out? And when people start to do that, it feels so good. You're like, yes. Or when people are like, oh, this part made me cry, and you're like, wow, or this made me shout for joy. You're like, yes, you're going along with the beats that I was trying to push out. One thing that we love, amongst many things, about Where the Rhythm Takes You is this beautiful cover. Like, listen,
I want her hair.
Just a masterpiece. So how much of a say did you have in the cover? Like, I know for Caribbean folks, we love our bright colors, we love our flowers. So how were you able to incorporate that? And did you have a say?
My input, I don't think was as big. What happened was in the beginning, they did like send me some samples from an artist, Kingsley Nibichi. You guys need to check out his Instagram. He's so talented. He's done a couple other books as well. I think he's done like Ace of Spades, which is coming out as well
Yes,
soon.
yes.
Yes. So he's so talented. And like when I saw his Instagram, I was like, yes, please, yes, get him to do the cover. And for most of my experience with it was them basically like showing me it at the different stages and like asking for what I thought about it. And I had a few comments, but for the most part, I was like, yes, I love this. Just keep going because the final product. I mean, look at it. So yeah, and yeah, the cover designer and the art director. I think everybody just did a great job, even inside the book as well. I think like the little details, I think is really pretty as well.
Yeah. I love that.
Well, the inside colors. Also.
Yes. Also, the inside of Dear Haiti Love Lane is yellow too. So shout out to the yellow though. Wendy just put the link to Kingsley's Instagram. Sorry, I'm like, what is the platform? What is the platform? But yes. So click the link. Be sure to check it out.
Yeah. So talented. Yeah.
So kind of like delving more into the topics handled in Where the Rhythm Takes You. So this book tackles grief. Like it's, I would say, embedded throughout the story, right? And I think it's really important for us to have stories that tackle grief because there are things that will happen in life that will just leave you feeling that emotion. And especially for young readers, it's important for you to see people going through that process and to understand that it's not a linear thing that you're going to go through as you work through your grief. So why was it important for you to integrate grief into the story?
I will admit, like in the earlier drafts, it wasn't as present as it is in the final book. Because it's not really like a focus in Persuasion. Yeah. So but it's as we were like, as I was like revising it and we wanted to sort of flesh out the mother-daughter relationship and flesh out Raina's motivation throughout the book. It started to come into play more and I ended up reflecting on my own sort of complicated feelings because I lost my father when I was about Raina's age. And I have a lot of complicated feelings about that. And as that ended up coming out a little bit in the book. And as it came out in the book, I ended up reflecting on it more and then more came out. And I ended up putting like words to a lot of feelings like I didn't even, I couldn't before. And yeah, so like if people connect with that, it does come from a very real place. And, and for young readers especially, who unfortunately may end up going through something similar, I think it's important for them as well to know that, you can move on afterwards, which is sort of a theme in the book. And it might not always be pretty, but, you can, and you shouldn't feel guilty about that. So yeah, I think that is like important for young readers as well. And yeah, it came from a very, very real place. And I think that's a thing that authors do sometimes. They end up leaving more of themselves on the page than they intended to. But yeah. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's very vulnerable and it's very true. Like without you even realizing that you're doing it, you like pour yourself into a work in a way that ends up touching a lot of people, whether they know your backstory or not, So I think that is so incredibly important. Okay, so I want to know, so you start off the book, I feel like I'm in class.
Or turn to page of the chapter, hold on.
Yeah, so you start off Where the Rhythm Takes You with the word Tabanka. Did I say
Tabanka?
Tabanka.
Yeah.
Tabanka. Okay, so please tell us what is Tabanka, and also why did you choose to evoke that word starting this book?
So like Tabanka is it's supposed to mean like an intense longing. Is usually associated with like unrequited love. Although I will admit, for us Trinidad and Tobagonians, we do use it to just describe anything we're really intensely missing. Like we say Carnival Tabanka because if we're missing this year we didn't have the festival, unfortunately, so a lot of people are feeling that right now. So we use it like that, but it's supposed to be a romantic sort of feeling, and I thought that like it really sort of it set the stage for the book because it gives you like a taste of Reina's mindset, a taste of the situation, but also like it's a very Trinidad and Tobago word, so it's also like the setting as well. So yeah, I thought that it is a good way to start the book. Yeah.
Tabanka, Chris Evans.
Tabanka, Chris Evans.
Okay, I get it now.
Or what do we call him? He's not Chris Evans. We call him
Captain America.
No, we call him his black name. I think it's like Jerome. I don't know. I can't remember. Chris Jamal. Thank you. I was like, Jerome is Jamal. Chris Jamal. But you already know. Too funny. But yes, I know I really want to go to Carnival in Trinidad and also to visit Tobago while I'm there. Like it's been, a dream. And because of COVID, it got canceled. But as soon as it's safe to go, I really want to go. Like while everything is still where I want it to be, I want to be able to put on my cute costume and go and enjoy. Okay. But, if you go to Carnival, you might, catch a wine, dance with somebody, have a good time. And if somebody or some people who have a good time throughout the story are our main character, Reina, and her love interest, Aiden.
What a transition.
I know. Listen. Trying to make it work. But so tell us a little bit about Reina and Aiden. Like that clip that you read at the beginning very much gives you a glimpse at their relationship, the teasing that happens from the very beginning. I was obsessed with them throughout. Just kind of like, hurry up and kiss already, guys. But like, how did you come up with these characters, and what was it like to get to know these characters?
I just want to add before I start that I didn't realize it was a slow burn until somebody reviewed the book and said so, and I was like, is it?
Yes, it was. I'm like, you too, stop it.
Like it didn't occur to me to think about it like that until somebody else said it, and I was like, oh. I guess it does take a while, doesn't it? But yeah, no, Reina and Aiden, at the start of the book, they're coming from two very different places. They've grown a lot in the time that they've been apart. And even though Reina doesn't realize it, she feels very stuck. She uses the word stuck a lot. And, but she's gone through a lot. She doesn't realize that's what it is. So, they've changed a lot in that time. And I also love the fact that they have sort of like cross purposes in the book, sort of like Reina feels an impulse to sort of go away to discover her art, whereas Aiden sort of has to return home to reconnect with, his songwriting. And like their art is how they connect to each other. It's how they communicate with each other at certain points in the book as well. And yeah. It's how they and that's how they became friends in the beginning as well. They bonded over music. So yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, so it's those little things I think that connects them, and yeah.
I was going to ask if you've seen Love Jones, because when you have two creative people in Love Jones, one is a photographer, the other is a poet, and then the tumultuousness, of course, that's for adults, but but like incorporating that creative aspect from two people who are creatives using different mediums, and what that means when you're trying to discover yourself. And I really resonated with Reina in her feeling stuck, as she mentioned throughout the story. I know one of the things that I'll talk about with some of my friends is like, I got to go away to school, even though it was within Florida. I went away to school, and I know sometimes folks who end up staying or they don't move or whatever, they might feel that same feeling of stuck, especially if you see someone that was your best friend or that you used to date or whatever has gone and come back and you notice those changes in them. So I think that's really, important for young readers to see like what that growth looks like and that, maybe second chances might appear.
Yeah, and they're still very young, so they've got like time to like figure things out. I know she feels like time is like running out, and the teenage urgency to sort of start your life, be an adult. But yeah. So she gets her second chance, and I think that's just good for like young readers to see that as well, to see people following their dreams, and yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So, did you have any favorite characters to write?
I had two. I thought Fish was fun to write because he's like just a joke machine. So if I had like a one-liner, I just give it to him. He would throw it out. But like I also like really enjoyed Rena's dad because I love parents who just want the kids to have a good life, to be happy. So I had a lot of fun writing him and his and Rena's relationship. I think was fun for me because he's not a perfect parent, but he cares. So yeah, I enjoyed writing him as well. Yeah,
I love that too. Like I think it's important as well for us to show dads who are like, you know what, I want you to go out and live life. You're working too hard, like, yes, we want, the full range of fathers. And I think fathers will always get like the strict disciplinarian role. But, I want to see some dads who crack jokes and say, go have fun with your friends, but not too much fun, So really love that. So one thing that I love as well, another thing that I love many things about this book, if you couldn't tell, because I adore it. I read it in one sitting. I just sat down and was like, I can't stop. I will finish this until I'm done. But one thing that I really loved is how much, culture is like seeped in throughout the story, right? We're talking about the food. We're talking about the music in particular. Soca plays a huge role throughout the entire novel. If you have not listened to a soca mix, listen. If you want to get hype, thank me later. Just search a soca mix, okay? But since it's so prevalent throughout the story, could you share some of your favorite songs? I know we talked about this earlier. We will not make you sing them unless you want to. Unless you want.
I got so scared when you guys told me that we were bringing this up. I was like, please don't make me sing. But yeah, there is actually a whole playlist in the back of the book.
Yeah.
It's also like on YouTube, actually. I saw it. So if you want to look it up, you can see it there. And yes, I included a lot of like the big hits, the ones, the staples, but also like a couple of my favorites and a couple that just for the vibes. So I hope people like have a look at it after they're done with the book, and like who knows, maybe you'll discover a whole genre of music you're into. It definitely has music.
Yes, and like throughout the story, I'm trying to find where it is in here, but there's literally is it towards the end? Maybe it's towards the end, but it has a list of some of the songs highlighted throughout. So it's like a great, oh yes, I couldn't hear, I'm sorry. So it's like a great place for you to start, but yes.
Okay, so I know we're winding down, but we are dying to know if you have time to read right now. Like, what are some books that you have been into?
Oh, you mean, I thought you might want me to read again. This is like the singing thing all over again. But yeah, no. Right now I'm working on book 2, and I find it like really hard to focus on anything while I'm writing a book. So mostly I've sort of been just like listening to like audiobooks of craft and creative writing books, like bits and pieces like inspire me and so on. Before I started doing that, though, I did read a couple books. I read the Brown Sisters, the last 2 in the Brown Sisters trilogy by Talia Hibbert, adult romance. I loved that series. I think she's such a great writer. And before that, I read one of the good ones. I don't know if you've heard of it, maybe. I don't know if you've heard of it.
All right, thanks for coming, everyone.
We didn't pay her to say that.
I love that book. I don't know, you guys might want to check it out as well. Also, I read Don't Date Rosa Santos, which I thought was a really lovely book.
Yes.
Yeah, it made me cry. Like,
Oh my God.
days afterwards, I think about it and just like start tearing up. So yeah, those are like the last few books that I read before I went into the slump that I'm in. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, we're obsessed with Nina, so we're like, yeah, Rosa.
I know. We give her a lot of energy. She's probably like, there's two of y'all, I need you to like bring it down.
Okay. So Letitia casually mentioned it in the chat. Like, can you tell us more about book 2? We understand if you can't, but we have to,
we have to ask.
I can't tell you too much. I can say that it is inspired by Much Ado About Nothing. So like, hate to love, and it'll be set in Trinidad. That's all I can say right now.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I am done. Yeah. Oh wait, I'm gonna ask something else. Okay, so do you think that you would do like another Jane Austen remake situation, maybe?
Maybe. I don't want to say never. But like, I don't know about Pride and Prejudice. I just feel like I don't know if I can add anything to it. It's been done so many times and been done well so many times. I don't know if I have anything to add to that. So maybe it would be one of the other books if I ever do. Maybe I don't know, maybe Emma or I like Northanger Abbey for some reason. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but that's one of my favorites. But yeah, I don't want to say never, but yeah, maybe one day.
We'll take it.
Yes. Yay. So this has been great. I think we are right on time to start
with questions. Yeah. I just wanted to pop in just to say that, we're starting on questions. So let me turn my camera off again. I just wanted to say hello. Okay, so the first question that we have, if you had to choose one book you wrote and describe it or try to get someone to read it with 5 words, what would they be? So to rephrase it, how would you pitch your book in 5 words or less?
5 words? Yo, I could barely get things to fit in the 240 characters on Twitter. So 5 words.
Oh, geez. I don't know. Fun, romantic, Soka, second chance. That's it.
Butter, yes. Okay. So which one are you gonna do? One of the good ones or Dear Haiti Lovely?
Wait, you pick, and then I'll do the other one.
Okay, you choose Dear Haiti Lovely.
Oh, okay. Girl. Wait, witty girl. So wait, witty girl, bad trouble, Haiti.
Okay, witty girl, bad trouble, Haiti. Okay. Okay, so one of the good ones.
Sister.
I'm about to. I'm gonna say 6 because I can't fade it. But Black Lives Matter includes queer people. That's it.
Nailed it.
You guys all nailed it. All right. So this question, the next question we have is, what was the reason for using the grief of losing a parent as the influence that keeps the main character stuck, as opposed to the influence of an aunt that was in the original Persuasion story?
Yeah, I just you'll notice that a lot of characters in the book are sort of like multiple characters in one sometimes. Fish is a couple of characters like smushed together. And in this case, I just wanted to, I guess it was what I was talking about and how I ended up putting my own experience into it. And yeah, as you shape the novel, it just sort of, that's how it came out. I wish I had a more detailed explanation, but when you're writing, sometimes it just happens to work out that way. Yeah.
That reminds me of something. Oh my gosh, was it the author of Underground? You said that he was at I think it was something like this, but he was at an event or something. I'm blanking on it. Do you remember? But basically, sometimes, like as an author, you end up writing things, and your reader will read it and say, "This has so much meaning, and what does the symbolism mean?" And you're like, "I just wrote it." You're like, "I have no idea where this was going. I just injected it because it made me laugh, or I liked this part, or whatever." Like, it's hard to kind of figure it out. But the reader is like, "This has to have another meaning," and you're like, I don't have one.
Yeah, no, that actually did happen with somebody who sent me a message about the book and like how they got this sort of meaning from one of the scenes in the book, and I was like, okay, that is so much more than I intended, but okay, I'll take it. I'll take it.
I think in one of the good ones, someone was like, "You used one of the good ones 7 times throughout the book. This does have things." I was like, I didn't realize that we did that. So I totally get it.
You should definitely not tell your readers. You should be like, yeah. Like, it was in my plan the entire time.
Totally.
Totally own it. Okay. Next question. What do you love best about second chance love stories?
Oh, I find them enduring because like the two characters, like it didn't work before, and they know that, but like they're still brave enough, or they still feel that connection strongly enough that they want to try again. Plus, I like when you're like starting it, trying to figure out like what the history is here. Like, why did these two not work out, and like, can they make it work this time? Yeah, because I do believe, sometimes when you break up with someone, that's it. But I do believe there are certain circumstances where it might be just the timing is off. Maybe, you're not ready for a relationship, or you're in different countries, or the work is keeping you apart. Like, and then getting that second chance, I think, is very romantic, at least to me.
Yes. And it also makes for a great read because it's always a little messy. Because you find out from the back, like, he did what?
Because it's always that.
Okay, so this question is for all of you. Which characters from your books would you hang out with, and why?
Yeah. I think for me, I think the whole group, like the whole friend group, which makes I would like to hang out with them. The celebrity friends. They just seem like a really fun bunch. They're all a little weird, and their weirdness kind of clicks with each other. So I think I would have fun if I hung out with them. Yeah, the little group that they have. Yeah.
Who would you hang out with?
I also vote for celebrity friends. If I have to go with one of our books, I would say I would hang out with Elaine, but like have to limit my time with her. Because like I would appreciate the wit and the personality, but then also know that sometimes it's not called for. So I think Elaine. Yeah.
I would say, because I was thinking the celebrity lines too, but I was thinking Tati Estelle, the aunt from Dear Haiti Love Lane, because she's the minister of tourism in Haiti. So I feel like, you get to go to all the major sites, skip the lines, get preferential treatment, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So this question is from Letitia. How do you like your doubles?
Oh, with slight pepper. I don't like too much on it. I just like doubles with a slight pepper on it. Yeah. Not too much of anything else. Yeah.
Wait, what is doubles again? Now I'm like, I can't remember what doubles
are. Food.
I know the food, but I'm trying to remember what it is.
It's like bread, right? It's like
is it like a pilori or no? It's not.
The bara of it is softer than a pilori. It's a little heavier as well. That's like the outside. The two like bready. I don't even know how to describe it. Bits, and then inside is like chana. So yeah. I like the traditional, but with a slight pepper to it. If you don't say slight pepper and you just say pepper, I don't know if you can eat it. Like you have to prepare for that. Yeah. So, yeah.
Actually, this ties in pretty well with the next question. Favorite food dish you've written into your book?
Ooh, favorite food dish.
There is like a whole scene in my book where it's basically like a paragraph of like just food. I don't know if you guys remember that. It's like at the beginning of the parties that they're having at the hotel. Yeah. So yeah, everything there was just fun for me to write. I just like, okay, this is the point where I'm just gonna throw everything I love to eat, just put it in the book. I can't remember everything that was in it. I think it was like cured shrimp and like slices of fruit, and then I can't remember everything, but I remember that was my foodie moment just coming out.
Yes.
I'm so hungry.
I just said I'm so hungry.
I started intermittent fasting yesterday. Technically, I am not supposed to eat, but I'm really hungry now. I think for us, I like butt on food, fried plantain, so anything like that. And then also, Haitian peanut butter is a big deal in our story. And I think like my siblings and I like Haitian peanut butter more than like the average Haitian person. I don't think they have such strong opinions as we do. But I like it. I just spent like $40 on Haitian peanut butter just yesterday. So I like it a lot.
Yes. I'm trying to think of a food scene. I would say in one of the good ones, there's a scene where Kezi is trying to go in and it's like her mom makes, is it like a chicken pot pie or something like that? And she's just trying to go in because like way in their ancestry, they're Haitian. So their mom throws Scotch bonnet peppers in it to really spice it up. So I really enjoyed that. In Dear Haiti, Love Elaine, there are two scenes that come to mind. There's one where Elaine is meeting with, like a kind of a relative, and she pulls out all the stops and cooks all of this food. And that's really what it was like when we got to go back to Haiti when we were writing Dear Haiti, Love Elaine. Like our family literally was just like, oh, you're going to eat today. Like you haven't eaten in a week and now we have to make up for it. So that was that. And then there was another scene where they were in Labadie, which is another part of the island that's kind of leased to a cruise company. But all of the food, we were like, okay, we're going to make the food super authentic. So it was just like, I feel like Caribbean people really, when you eat, it's just like, we're going to pile it on. It's going to have the heat. You're going to feel love through the food. Yeah. And food is culture too. So it's really important.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So it's wise to say that none of your readers should read your books hungry. They should always eat dinner before reading your book.
I definitely don't read it on an empty stomach.
And have Google nearby to search anything that you don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the last question for the night. What is the best feedback you've heard from a young reader?
Yeah. Just that they've, connected with Raina and they've enjoyed the book. I think that was the best thing because I want them primarily to just have fun with the book. Because I love the genre and I think it's fun and I hope that the young readers enjoy it. Yeah.
Love that. That's beautiful. For me, I think my favorite thing that someone has given us this feedback is that one time this student said, "Oh my gosh, you're like my favorite authors." Third favorite. And I like that. It was humbling.
That's it. I have nothing to add. But I think the best part is really just having readers reach out. That's always wonderful. It just makes you feel good.
Yeah.
You can't, like, kids are so funny. They have like no filter. So every compliment that they give you, you know that it's true.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much to everyone who tuned in tonight. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Maika and Maritza. This was such a fun conversation. Again, we have signed book plates available for Where the Rhythm Takes You. Just click on the green purchase button and just make sure to write signed book plate in the order comments when you're checking your book out. And for those of you who tuned in late, don't worry, a replay link will be available shortly after the broadcast ends. And I think that about covers it. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Congrats, Sarah. Whoop, whoop. Yes. Give me a massive pew, pew, pew. Okay, I'm done. Bye.